What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Farmer on the Prairie. Today I am headed over to John's and we're going to be unloading grain bins. So we're hauling this corn out to an elevator about 30 miles from us. We always hire our semis in. We do not have our own semis. We do not have enough bushels to justify the semis. I'm gonna go over there and we're gonna get started scooping bins. Dad's already been over there for a half an hour, and we will hopefully, we've got one bin with 3,500 bushels in it, another bin with 1,000 bushels in it. Those both have to get cleaned out from when we got stopped hauling last time. And then we've got a bin with about 10,000 in it, and I'm not sure what else we have in inventory yet. Okay guys, so when we are in the grain bin, right now we're inside of one of our 10,000 bushel bins. We wear face masks whenever there's grain moving. This bin actually has moldy corn in it right now. Very important to wear a face mask. So this bin has what we call a non-power sweep. We just drop it in here with a motor, and the sweep auger is the auger that goes around and pulls the grain in once the bin gets cored, which means that all the corn has flown down to this angle and that sump's open. So once it gets cored, we open up the side doors and make a trench in there. We throw the sweep auger in and then start to, once the sweep auger is in, go around the bin, taking out this bottom section of corn. This bin's a little bit more of a pain because this is like a 4-inch sweep auger. We now have 3 bins that have power sweeps. That's a 6-inch cleaning auger. Requires a lot less babysitting. It was really nice. But the sweep augers only do so much. Then we have to go through a scoop shovel, scoop up the corn, and sweep it out. So I'm gonna put my face mask on and get started. Okay, so we have finished up pulling corn out of that bin right there that had about 3,500 bushel in it. Now we're over and we are just pulling straight out of the completely full bin because that corn was moldy. We think there's a few bugs in the corn in bin 1, and we have good corn in bin 2 that's full of 10,000 bushel. So that's going down for a special non-GMO contract at Bungie Milling, the local elevator. So I'm loading a truck right now. We're just sucking straight out of the bin, so we're probably not going to be scooping the rest of the day. The reason we didn't start emptying this bin is because Bungie's kind of picky and they don't want mold or bugs or anything in the corn. So that just goes to a local cooperative and then usually gets blended and sent to Bungie. It's just a low enough percentage, it doesn't matter. So in all reality, it still ends up there. So a lot of you have asked before in previous videos, when you see us sweeping off the flat floor of a grain bin, why not just have hopper bottom bins? Well, there's several reasons. The first reason is that hopper bottom bins are extremely expensive and often not high capacity. They're often like, 3 or 4 or 5,000 bushel. These are 14,000 and 10,000. So a hopper bottom bin is not only expensive, but grain spoils very easily in it, and you have to put dry grain in it. So if people have an elevator set up, they will have a bunch of big flat bottom bins and then they'll put it into a hopper bottom so they can continuously load trucks. So our flat bottom bins, you have the corn the exact same depth across the whole bin, and there's a fan pushing air into the bottom of the bin, and it goes up through the holes in the floor and dries out the corn and keeps the corn at a consistent temperature to hopefully prevent issues like we've been having with mold and whatnot. You know, granted, if it was just sitting stagnant in the bin, the corn would be completely rotten and gone, but we just had bad corn last year and it didn't work out the best. So you can see right now that the center sump is pulling the grain out in a funnel fashion, and it will pull that out until it gets down to the floor level, and then we will open 3 side sumps, and then once it pulls the grain down to those, we will turn on the power sweep and then scoop out the bottom of the bin. But even though we've got a power sweep and all that and a big slab of concrete, it's still cheaper than a hopper bottom bin. So here on this bin that we're pulling out of right now, you can see the bolt line of where the floor is. So we've got airspace, floor, and then grain storage the whole rest of the way up the bin. Now, here is our 30 horse Kehoe air pump. These things sound like a jet engine taking off, and you have to have at least 3 feet of grain on the floor or it will blow the legs out from underneath the floor. That Kehoe air pump is run by an IntelliFarms bin manager system. It's got cables inside the bin every 2 feet, I think 18 inches or 2 feet, and those cables read the temperature and moisture of the grain at each of those levels. We also have an air temperature reader underneath the floor, and then we have a weather station that says the humidity and outside air temperature. And what that allows them to do is figure out where the grain is at as far as desired moisture and all that stuff and where it needs to be, and then they will hopefully be able to make a better or a more accurate decision drying it consistently top to bottom than we can without knowing what's there. The only way to do it without a kind of system like that is really to have a stirrator. That is the little augers inside a bin that draw the grain up, because that way it keeps it all consistent. I am now going to be blowing the baler off because we need to use the Kubota for something else, and we're done making hay for probably a month. So like I've always done before, open up all the shields, get the big leaf blower out, and just get all the loose hay off. I'm not going to do an in-depth cleaning until after we're done baling corn shucks. Tonight I just saw, should be interesting, the landlord came out and said, oh, you guys might want to, you know, lock the shed up tonight because there's a storm blowing in, and he's known to get a little exercise about weather, but looks like tonight could be interesting because I just saw Cole the Cornstar's Instagram story. Shout out to him. And looks like he had some issues.
Smacked by a massive storm. This is what a grain bin looks like with no roof on it. Yeehaw!
Let's just say that the storm damage looked pretty bad there, so we might end up locking up the doors and putting tractors against the doors so they don't blow in tonight. But right now, I need to get that all blown off and get this thing unhooked so I can hook that to the box scraper, because my brother's Luke and Josiah with the excavating business, and they're going to go and reshape a waterway that we have and seed it to grass. out here in a hay field we rented last year. This is our first year farming this hay field, or well, it used to be a row crop field, and it has a really bad wet spot in it, and it has a pretty solid compaction layer here. So we have our ripper on the back of the Magnum, and we're just ripping this spot up. So you can see here, Luke pulled a clod of dirt up, and there's about 6 inches right here from the top of the ground to where the compaction layer of the disc running is, and then another 4 inches because they used a Glencoe soil saver. You can see now that we've pulled the ground up, because when I walk on it, so the reason this compaction was such an issue is because when it's compacted, the water can't infiltrate out the bottom, and this is just a pond in here.